All right, well, our topic of conversation with Josh Chambers this morning is a very important one, and that is sitting down and having a conversation as a family about your finances. Money talks with everyone involved.
Especially when you're an adult child and your parents are getting a little older and older.
Maybe close to retirement.
Yes. So where do we even start with these conversations?
Yeah, it's just, these conversations are more get everything out in the open. You run into situations where parents pass away and the kids have no idea what they have. They don't know where things are supposed to go, and especially if you don't have a will or don't have any way for how your assets are supposed to be designated.
Right.
You end up in a situation where the kids end up having to have those discussions after you've passed away and don't really know what you're wanting.
Yeah, and some of their favorite charities you need to find out early on, so that you can, pass on some of their legacy. Yeah. Okay, so who should have these discussions?
So generally you're looking at kids and their, I don't want to put an age on it, but it's almost retired parents, and kids who are established in life. Like, you don't want to be doing it with kids in their 20s, because then you might, if your family has a lot of wealth, they might feel like there's no, not a lot of effort anymore. No more incentive.
Right. That's like their kind of crutch. You know what I mean? It's like, I can lean in on this.
You want to have these conversations with kids who are, they're established. They have jobs, careers, they have families. Then you're starting to bring into the conversation, here's what we have, here's how we want our assets to be distributed once we pass away. Here, they're tough conversations, but they're conversations that have to be had.
Right.
Yeah, and especially for younger children. I mean, we were talking about this, as a kid, and look, we've been there. You kind of think money grows on trees, right? And that it's just this endless supply.
Right.
And then later in life, when it becomes yours, you realize, okay, that's tangible and it's mine, and you become a little bit more money savvy. What do you recommend, Josh, as a family, if the kids are older, parents are getting close to retirement age, what are some of the categories maybe of money that we need to be really buckling down on?
Yeah, so there's an interesting stat I found when I was doing the research for this.
Yeah.
90% of families who have a lot of wealth, that wealth is gone by 3 generations.
Really?
Yeah, so the conversation you have to have is here, assets like homes, retirement accounts, investment accounts, things like that. If you don't have those conversations and understand, how those accounts are taxed and how they're supposed to be used, kids will inherit the money and not know how to use it. And they can end up paying more taxes than they should. They can end up in situations where they say, okay, well, I want to pay off a bunch of debt with this instead, or, which could be a good idea, but every situation is different. So it's really, you're looking at the assets and what the goal of the money, especially if it's a lot of money, what the goal the families had for the money to be, and how to continue that it's called wealth transfer. How do you continue it through generations rather than that money just being gone, which is the 90% number, I think, comes into play of what we were talking about. Of kids are receiving it. Number one, they don't know how to use it. And number two, they receive it before they know how to use money.
Sure.
Yeah,
they're using it for income rather than it should be a supplement of some sort.
Don't go out and buy a fancy, new high-end car.
Immediately.
Right. They look at it as disposable income. That's just, and
then they get into retirement, and maybe they're light on their retirement accounts. They've given a lot of money away to their kids who now don't have the money to use once they pass away. So it's a cycle that you see happen of a family generates a lot of wealth, passes it down, it gets used for things that probably shouldn't be used for, and then it dwindles. Yep.
And then that's eye-opening to hear 90%. When you hear that number put on it, it's like, wow. I mean, and it sounds like there are a lot of reasons that this is important, but I mean, we just really honed in on the one in the sense that a lot of times stuff happens, and then you're like, I don't know what to do. I mean, you've got this and it's in your lap. And
it's not from lack of structure in the account. It's from lack of communication.
Sure.
It's from these tough conversations not being had, and then the kids are like, I have no idea, you know,
Right.
I'll use this for this, I guess, but
Right.
they don't have any guidance.
If someone, these are great tips, and if someone would like to maybe talk with you and find out a little more and maybe do some planning, how do you help and how do they get in touch with you?
It's something that we've been financial planners have been specializing in more and more because we see the trends of what's happening.
Right.
And it helps to have someone like me there because we can help with the technicalities of explaining how probate works, how you know, how retirement accounts have to be distributed in taxation, and we can also help with the structure of it because there's certain ways you can leave assets in a tax-advantaged way, and that's always a better way to do it.
Right.
You know?
Well, it's nice to have somebody at the table with you having those
Yeah.
conversations that
Help you through it.
understands that and
That's
can
the
walk
part
you through it. Yeah.
And also as a mediator,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
unbiased mediator is huge because
Somebody that doesn't have any skin in the game.
it turns into a fight real fast.
Oh, yeah.
Without
It
someone
does.
there that's,
Sure.
to kind of, you know, ease tensions a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Kind of play
like a-
referee.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
It's a whistle and a striped
Right.
shirt.
Yeah, it definitely that helps because you're a little more conservative on what you say
Right.
because there's someone in the room that's not part of the family.
Yes.
Well, if you are watching and you find yourself in this situation, Josh is a great person to reach out to, and we've got his contact information with this interview on our website. Josh, always appreciate it. Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much. This has been a great topic of
Thanks.
conversation.
Yes. Yeah, very good one.
Well, still ahead, 10,000.